Hello, my soul brothers and soul sisters. I am Ron Smith, and this is the Dr. Ron Smith Investigate Show, where we separate the real from fake, the fact from fiction, and give you the winner's edge. And sometimes we're able to turn your water into wine. Today, we're going to talk about what to look for in buying home, real estate, property, etc., etc. And my quote for today is the largest room in your house will be the room for improvement. The largest room in your house would be the room for improvement. And that's a quote from Marion Barry. One of the things that we are in the middle of football season, and one of my favorite people is a Cowboy fan. And I am a bandwagon Colorado Buffalo fan just because Deion Sanders is the coach. But one of the things that all coaches during this time of year, they have a strategy for winning. They have a strategy for the offense, they have a strategy for the defense, and they have a strategy for special teams. Now, you are the coach of your own wealth building plan. Yes, you are it. One of the things that you can get assistance, just like Dion has a defensive coordinator, and he have offensive coordinator. He have a special team coach, and one of the things that hopefully that I can be for you is be one of the additional people who are coaching you through your wealth building plan. What does that mean for you? Offensively, we need to score points, which means basically you have to understand what your budget is. And your budget is what your income is matched up with your expenses. And whether you're making 6 figures, 7 figures, or 4 figures, you need to know where is your money going and basically how you can balance out what you have. My suggestion to you is there's many playbooks and many ways that you can do it, but 40% of your money should be going to your needs, 30% to your wants, 20% could be some savings and investing, and 10%, as I told you before, I'm a tither at my church. You might consider that you can give donations, or you have a charity involved with what your game plan is. And basically, the defense is insurance, and that's the reason why we have health insurance. That's the reason why we have a house insurance, and then if you don't have a house, then you have renter's insurance, and basically you have life insurance, which means that I am a very proponent of a life insurance with a cash value. Now, I know a lot of people said, term is cheaper, and basically, you're only paying for that term, and basically, you could probably get more for a least expensive plan. But at the same time, my plan in the future is to do a show on insurance and how you can actually make that work for you, because insurance can be used as a cash value, which could be a actually life policy. But basically, you can set up that you can potentially borrow from that. But we're getting more details on that later. But for most of us, we understand that basically the death benefits being basically that is something that I can pay for my final expenses, that I can have leave for my family, and they can maintain the lifestyle that basically that we are in. And also part of that defense of your income would be estate planning, making sure you have a will and making sure you have a trust in place. And if you're are leaving a business to your family, that should be already established, whether it is going to be a partnership or a limited liability company, or a corporation, whether it's a C or S corporation. Those would be your protection. Your special teams is what I call is that what most people call that rainy day fund or emergency fund. And nothing beats cash, something that you can immediately address the situation. One of the things that happened to me on my vacation, I needed some front brakes. So that's something that I couldn't wait to travel from Atlanta back here without having no brakes. So I had to reach into my cash reserve to make sure I had money for that. So basically, that is the offense, defense, and special teams that you should have part of your wealth plan. And before I really get into the real estate part about it, before you venture out and get your emotions and your heart and your things about a piece of property that you got your eye on, you need to back up and see what is your credit score or your credit history, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things I am very, very serious about this. Credit is almost like a snake. It can actually, if you don't handle it properly, it can bite you and kill you. It's almost as well as credit can be almost like a loaded gun. It can protect you or it can actually kill you. So most of us have mishandled credit because we didn't understand the mechanism that it was in place. And the reason why this show really was created, because it's called the conversation I wish I had had. And part of that conversation is no one told me about what is credit. And credit is actually an agreement that I with the lender that I can obtain goods and services. Just simple as that. Now, the credit report is basically is my report card of my history of me using credit. Now, I gave you the illustration, and I think it's so unfair that legally credit card companies and these financial institutions actually sent me a credit card when I was in college. I mean, that was, to me, it set me up for failure without having this information that I'm sharing with you today. And the big thing is basically the credit utilization. And credit utilization is basically and I'm gonna give you an example. If I had a line of credit for $1,000, it is best that I use only less than 30% of that $1,000, which means basically if I really want to be in good standard, I would only use $250 of that $1,000 line of credit, which means I only use 25%. And I will pay that off before the cycle, because sometimes that 28, 29 payment cycle is not like the same at the end of the month. You might be on the 25th or the 26th or the 28th. It may not necessarily be on the 30th. And you have to watch out for that because basically you get dinged on your credit with that. Also, there's 3 credit bureaus. There's Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And with that is that the largest calculating credit companies that produce your score is called FICO, and that FICO, which actually is the Fair Isaac Corporation. And that's all it stands for, the Fair Isaac Corporation. And basically, your score can be anywhere between 300 and 850, where 300 is the worst you can get, and 850 is immaculate credit. Now, one of the ways basically you can get the close to 850, that you have to have, let me go through basically what your credit score is, and then I can share you with how you can get that. Well, your credit score is based on 35% of your payment history, 30% of the amount of that you owe, 15% of the length of your credit history, 10% of your credit mix, which means that your car payment, your mortgage or rent, your student loan, etc. And 10% is your new credit. One of the things that you have to look out for is that, when the malls have these set up that you can get a Macy's card or a Sam's card and all that. One of the things that you want to avoid is getting extra cards, because those are what they call hard inquiries. And each time that you apply for a new card, it's a ding on your credit, which nobody told me. And that's one of the things, that's the reason why, I had a very poor credit score leaving college. And then imagine even at the time that I left college, that wasn't a big issue. But when it is a major issue now, the big issue during the time that when I was looking for employment, it was a criminal record. Right now, your criminal record as well as your Facebook, you got to make sure you clean up your Facebook and make sure you don't have no activities that would be incriminating. Now it's your financial situation. I have heard stories of a young lady who was interviewed by a financial institution, and she wanted to work for a bank after college, and basically she had great school GPA out of college, interviewed very well, did a lot of activities, volunteer work, the whole thing. But since she misused a credit card, she had a poor credit card score. And that is the reason why she did not work at this particular financial institution. And she didn't get the job. And just because of that. So those are the things that you have to keep in mind when you get ready to use leverage. And, remember, I talk about 5 things. I talk about basically how you earn or create income and how you manage it. Number 3 is leverage. And basically what I call that is using other people's money when you have to go and get a big ticket item. And buying a home or townhouse, and it is a big ticket item that most people cannot pay cash for. Now, as I say, credit it can be very dangerous, and you have to take it serious. And that's the reason why you have to have a game plan, and you have to have somebody that you can talk to, like me, that made those mistakes. My joke is on myself is that, I learned finance by trial and error, and I'm on trial for most of my errors. That's supposed to be a little sense of humor there. Hopefully you got it. So basically, this is one of the things that you have to do prior to when you look for real estate for your home or real estate investing. And then we're going to get in some details about what you look for. But here's the thing that you need to know for particular. And basically, I want to talk about the opportunities. Now, one of the things that you want to, when you look for a property, you want to make sure you have what you have in mind. If this is your first home, or if you wanted to get into actually real estate and investment, one of the things that you need to look for, what's the area. Now, I'm going to give you 2 scenarios, and then I'm going to talk about each one of them. I grew up in a situation where the cash advance business were in prominent, payday loans, rent to own stores, title pawn shops, tote to note type car lots. All these were, as I know now, a predatory loan situation. They only are in low income communities because the middle class and the wealthy are not going to, they're not going to participate in those activities, and they're not going to use that because basically they have access to the normal banking system, and plus they have an income that will not have to do that. Now, there are some people who actually still use those things when they get in, quote, have more month than money, and they get into not being able to have a solid foundation with their budget. And one of the things that when I'm in the process of coaching some individuals, and what I share with them is that whether you're making 7 figures or 6 figures or 5 figures, you still have to have a solid plan in place, because a seven-figure people are living paycheck to paycheck just as well as people who are making five figures. They just know how to hide it well. You know, just because somebody driving a Jag doesn't mean that they are financially astute. And just because I might be driving a hoopty doesn't mean that basically that that I'm not financially astute as well. So one of the things that you have to make a solid decision on, where do you want to be? Do you want to look like you're wealthy and rich, or do you actually want to be wealthy and rich? Now, when we come back from the break, we're going to take a look at more of those opportunities and how you can take advantage of those situations. Be back. Hello, my soul brothers and soul sisters. We are back, and we're talking about what to look for when we buy houses or any type of real estate property. And basically, on the first half, we talked about, we are in the football season. I joked around that basically I'm on the bandwagon of the Colorado Buffaloes because Deion Sanders is the coach. And, well, I'm a fan of Deion anyway. So basically, everybody in football knows that basically, in order to win, you have to have three phases. You have to have a good offense, you have a good defense, a good special team. And with that in mind, that you are your own wealth coach. And basically, you're going to have to offensively make sure you have a budget. And what that budget is, that you have to understand what your income is and your expenses, what your assets and liability. And one of my simple thing for budget is that 40, 30, 20, 10, which is 40% of your needs, 30% of the wants, and 20% of your savings and reducing your debt, and 10% tithing. Excuse me. That's your offense. Defensively, you need to have insurance in place, whether it's health and insurance for your renter's insurance and life insurance, and as well as protection for your home. And also make sure you have some life insurance. We should not be having to do a pass the hat or a GoFundMe. Life insurance, and as I mentioned on the first half, is that I'm going to get into the life insurance thing, because there's been a lot of talk, a lot of controversy on that, whether you should have term or whole life or universal, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever you decide, it has to be a part of your portfolio. And with your special teams is basically you need to have a emergency fund or rated A fund or in cash that's in a high yield savings program. And which means that basically it's kind of liquid. Either you'll have cash on hand, and basically it's liquid. Now, in looking for real estate, remember that you have to have your credit score. Now, 650 to 680 is the minimum that you should have in your credit score. And basically, I went over the three major bureaus, which is TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And your FICO score, which is FICO, is the Fair Isaac Corporation. That's all what FICO stands for. And basically, they are the ones that send your information to the financial bureaus. Now, one of the things that you have to keep on top of is that every 7 years, that should be purged. And they only purge it if you demand that they take some things off. And that's one of the things that, besides getting your annual credit report for free, you need to make sure you go through it annually, because every 7 years, there's some things that you could actually purge off there that might be lingering, that keeping your credit score down. And that's one of the things I didn't mention in the first half, because your FICO score, it includes 35% of your payment history, 30% of the amount that you actually owe, 15% is your actually credit history, 10% is your credit mix, whether it's your auto, your mortgage, student loan, and 10% of new credit. And I want to emphasize that basically every time you apply for new credit, it's a hard inquiry, which is a detriment to your credit score. And I mentioned that basically your credit utilization, which, as a college student with a credit card, I blew up my card. Let me give you an example. If I had a $1,000 credit limit, I shouldn't go over 30%, which means that I shouldn't go over 300. And with that in mind, that I shouldn't only spend $250 of that $1,000 to meet under that credit utilization. And I should understand that don't go by the calendar month. It's actually going by the cycle of your credit report that you pay it off. Make sure you do that. Now, let's go back into the part two. We're talking about opportunity. As I grew up in an area where cash advance business was thriving, payday loans, rent to own type shops, title pawn shops was all around. They called it a tote to note type loan, car lots. All of these in my environment was predator lenders. Now, I didn't know that, because basically that's all we had that was catering to us. One of the things that we have to realize, that basically we do not look at how much money down and how much per month. We have to look at the total cost of that, because if you look at some of those exuberant type of percentage, I've seen 28, and if you max out, it's almost like you're paying double. If you're paying like $20 a week for a bedrooms set, and even from 6 to 9 months, if you do the math on that, you could have bought a slightly used for 25% of that, and you could actually buy a new one for the same price of something that you still don't own. Now, I know that we are in that, what I call fear of missing out. And that's the acronym for, if I was Texas, I would say FOMO is the fear of missing out, that we have to have it right now. Soon as I get my first apartment, I have to have all the furniture, and I have to have my, the 65-inch TV. I have to have all that. No, you don't. You don't have to have all that. There's a lot of means that basically you can buy slightly used or debt appliances that will cost you a fraction of what you're paying for these type of predatory situation. Now, what you need to look for, now, there are opportunities in those neighborhoods for real estate, but you have to actually understand, here's my other strategy for you. Now, other neighborhoods have, when you start seeing Chick-fil-A, you start seeing Starbucks, you start seeing Whole Foods, you start seeing Trader Joe's, Harris Teeter, you look at a different market increase. Now, one of the things that I want to give you a tip is that what you want to do is find a community right on the edge of those things, because that's where the market margin can be increased. You want to look for a property right there on the edge. And basically you can either you go out on your weekends and find the property to do that, or you get a real estate agent to tell them basically this is what your parameters are. One of the things that when I do my coaching, I coach individuals that to get especially if this is your first time ownership, to get a duplex, a triplex, or quadplex. And reason why is it mathematically makes so much sense is that basically you rent out the other three and you live in it, and you can get a conventional loan. Isn't it? Anything over a fourplex goes into the commercial side. If you stay within 4 or less, you'll be able to get a conventional loan. And if you are in the right zoning situation, that your property would increase in value. I would go in more details on basically why home ownership is more advantageous, and that's part of building your legacy. So let's say you find a piece of property. What I want you to do is we're going to talk about the outside. We're going to talk about the basement and the attic, and then we're going to talk about inside. Okay, when you find a piece of property that you got your eye on, what you want to do outside, you want to look at the roof. You want to make sure that there's missing shingles, and the shingles that are on there that don't look like it's worn. And make sure that everything is in place. You don't want to see nothing that's asymmetrical. Everything should be lined up and symmetrical. You want to make sure the drainage system is correct. You don't want to have no standing water around the outside, which means that basically my suggestion to you is also, and take a look at the gutters and make sure there's no the trees and the brushes and all that may be clear. Now, what you still want to do is the most, I guess, advantageous property is one that's pretty much unkept. When the grass is all grown over, the trees are leaning, but you still want to make sure that you check the roof, the drainage, and the gutters. Okay, then make sure you can be able to go inside the basement. You want to make sure there is no moisture inside the basement. Now, one of the things that I want to challenge you with is that you want a house or apartment with a crawl space. A slab will cause you some problems, especially when you're talking about we're talking about next, which is the plumbing. So I won't forget that. But before I go from that, I want to go to the attic. You want to make sure the installation is there, and basically you have room for storage. The installation is storage. So let's go inside. The main thing you want to look for is water damage, and that's going for the plumbing. If it's on a slab, if they have to break that slab to get to the plumbing, that's going to cost you money. So basically what you want to do, you want to look for a piece of real estate that has a crawl space. So basically you can get to the plumbing easier. I had a friend of mine who just had a plumbing issue, and they have to tear up the floor, which means they was out of the house for 90 days because the house was on a slab. It would have been less than that, probably half the time, if it was on a crawl space. Okay, the HVAC system, make sure everything is on the HVAC system, and make sure there's no cracks in the floors, walls, and ceiling, and always look for water stain. So basically, that is a quick overview of what you should look for in a property, and make sure that you can get a home inspection. After you do your initial, get somebody to do a home inspection. So I know that was a whole lot. It's almost like drinking water from a water hose, for a fire hose. But hey, we will continue this conversation of talking about what to look for in real estate property. And I thank you for your time. My time is up. And I thank you for yours.